Hello, so today I'm going to try to walk you through a tutorial where we'll be working in a very simple, basic Java project. In this project, we'll be building a GUI using NetBeans IDE. I'm using NetBeans because it's very easy to just drag and drop in order to build a GUI. So in this tutorial, we are going to be working on a prime number tester. Basically, we allow the user input a value and we check if the number is prime or not. Now, this project is a very basic project. This is just a very beginner project. I'm going to make this into a series where you can, continue learning, and as time goes on, hopefully you get to learn more. So let's start by creating a new project. Select Java application, next, and we can name this anything. In our case, we'll name it prime number tester. Finish. Now we have our class, but we need a JFrame. We need a form in order to build our GUI. So you want to select new, right-click here, new JFrame form, and you can name this. Doesn't matter the name, just choose whatever name you think is good. So. And now that we have this, now in this project I don't really care about the design of the GUI, so I'm just going to make this, it might look as boring as possible. So I usually place a panel on top of the JFrame form. Alright, so now let's start our design. First thing we need is for the user to enter a positive number. So let's select a label, place a label here, right click, edit text, enter, in our case, positive number. And then you give the user a text box in which they can enter their number. So let's leave a very small text box here. And you want to delete the text. And here, let's change the variable name to txt user input. And then we add a button that will, test if the number is prime or not. So let's put our button down here, here actually. Change the text and let's say test. And I would like to center this a little bit and change the button name to btn test. Now we would need another either text box or just a label to show if the number is positive. If it is prime or not, rather. I'd like to use a label. So let's use a label that would tell if the number is prime or not. So we delete the text, right click, change the name to LBL is prime. Okay, so now let's go into our code to actually write the code to test if this number is a prime number or not. Now let's check user input. So double click on the test. This is what you want to double click on, the test button. So it takes you to where the code should be. And the first thing we want to do is get the user input. Of course, the user would have to enter a positive number for this to work. If they enter a string, then we will get an exception. So let's say user input will be equal to txt user input dot get text. So basically get the text from the user input, and this is given an error because it will be a string. That's what we get. So you want to convert this, parse this into an integer. So integer dot pass int, and you put your value here. Now that we have the user input, we would like to write a function that checks if a number is prime or not. So we could make this a private method. So private boolean is prime, which takes in a number. Now for this code, I would not be writing the best prime checker. because I want to make this tutorial as quick and easy as possible. So first thing we can check is if the number is divisible by 2, then it's definitely not a prime number. So to say if the number modulo 2 is equal to 0, basically if this number is evenly divisible by 2, then it's not a prime number. But we also have to check and the number is not equal to 2, because if the number is equal to 2, we know 2 is a prime number, so we have to check for that. Now if this number is an even number and it's not 2, we return false. Now that's our first check. Now another check to do is to write a loop that basically goes from, we don't have to check 2 anymore because we already canceled out 2, any number divisible by 2 rather. So let's start from 3, and if any number can divide that besides 1, then we return false. So we say for integer I equal to 3, I is less than number I plus equal to 2. Now the reason I am using plus equal to 2 is because we don't have to check any even number anymore, which is why I'm starting from 3 and then we increment by 2. So basically we're checking every other odd number. Now we say if the number modulo I is equal to 0, then we return false. So basically, first thing, if the number can be divided by 2, that means it's an even number, so we return false. If the number can be divided by any other odd number, we return false. So basically, we're testing for any number besides 1 and itself. Now, otherwise, if all of this runs and we haven't returned false yet, then this number must be a prime number. Now, we would use our function in this test button in order to return if the number is a prime number or not. So now we can say if it's prime, so we're calling our method and we pass in the number the user entered. So user input. So basically if this is true, I could just write this equal to true. Then we have to set our label here and set it to the number is prime or the number is not prime. And if you remember, we named this LBL is prime. So we can say LBL is prime dot set text. Now we would like to pass in the number first. So basically we can say user input plus, so concatenate the number the user entered, and then if it is prime, we'll say is a prime number. Otherwise, we'll say else LBL is prime. The set text user input concatenate is not a prime number. Save it, and now we need to run our project. But before we run, you have to remember we have, in that case, we have 2 main methods. And if you have 2 main methods, for example, if I run this, nothing happens because we have another main method that does nothing in here. So now let's go ahead and delete this class since it does nothing. As you can see, it has a main method, but we don't need this class at all. So go ahead, right click, delete this class. And now we can come to our GUI, the one we created, and run it. It's going to ask you if you want to use this as the main class. Select OK, and then it would run. And here is what our GUI looks like. As you can see, the text is cut short, so we can actually fix this by extending this here. Can move our number in here. And this looks fine. So let's run this again. And as you can see, it says enter a positive number. So we enter 45. Test. It says 45 is not a prime number. Enter 44. 44 is not a prime number. Now let's test prime numbers we know. 2 is a prime number. 3 is a prime number. 5 is a prime number. 7 is a prime number. 11 is a prime number. How about 9? It shouldn't be a prime number. It's not a prime number. So, as you can see, you can test on and on again, and it should give you the correct answer. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be releasing another video by the end of the week. Thank you. Bye.